God bless you and welcome to this week's episode. You know, the past few weeks have been phenomenal as we finished up our Freedom series. And many of you have reached out and shared just how much you were blessed by it. And this month, I'll be transitioning back into interviewing health experts from around the world to help you live, look, and feel better. You know, when women come to see me, they are often at a point in their life where they are just simply sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They have visited their doctors on a number of occasions. They're being prescribed one medication after the other, and things are simply not changing with their health. And before I became a health coach, this was my experience. I was caught up in a 7-year cycle of prescriptions, not feeling well, no change to my overall health. It just seemed like I was really getting worse. And I'm so pleased to share that in today's episode that I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Jennifer Quartano. She is the founder of All Together Wellness. And she shares why she transitioned from modern medicine and into functional medicine. And if you're new to functional medicine and want to know how it can benefit you and your family, I'm inviting you to listen in as Dr. Quartano helps women to find their best self, to be the best mom, to be the best wife, professional, and athlete that they desire to be. Let's get into it. When it comes to women's health, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, and honestly, it can be quite confusing. Diets, fads, trends, which one is right? What if I told you the answers to optimal health can be found in one of the most ancient medical books ever written, the Bible? If you're ready to take the guesswork out of living a healthier life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Rock Your World Naturally show. I'm Rekishia McMillan, honorably retired Air Force veteran, certified health coach, and award-winning author. After years of trying to recover my health the world's way, I was still sick, depressed, and had no energy. Finally, I surrendered to God, and He showed me in the Bible how to recover my health, and it rocked my world naturally. My calling is to help women who are struggling and burnout to have more energy and lose weight by using God's prescription for physical, mental, and spiritual health. If you're ready to experience extraordinary health, grab your favorite herbal tea or power smoothie, and let's get ready to rock your world naturally. God bless you and welcome to the Rock Your World Naturally show on today. I'm Rekishia McMillan, your host, and I am super excited about our guest today, Dr. Jennifer Quartano. And Dr. Quartano, she is on a mission to provide young patients and their families the tools that they need to thrive. She's a dual board certified physical therapist in pediatrics and neurology. Dr. Jenny, as she's also known as, has a passion for seeing children and families grow successfully and thrive together. She has a vast experience working all the way from neonatal intensive care to the functional fitness environment and everything in between. After seeing the failures of the traditional medical model, she began her own practice in 2014, allowing a focus on the child and family together to maximize relationships and the quality of life. As a mother herself, she understands the challenges parenting can bring, and she seeks to bring the expertise in how we think, move, and act to influence how families learn, grow, and thrive. So, Dr. Quartano, welcome to the Rock Your World Naturally show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and usually before we start, I'd like to ask an icebreaker question. What
Mhm.
are you doing in your world right now that is rocking your world naturally?
Yeah, I love that question. And I feel like any given day, I'm going a mile a minute, right? And I could think of 100 things that I'm doing. But the reality is, I'm doing one really important thing right now. And I'm actually on vacation in the Outer Banks where there's not a lot to do, really slowing down, getting outside in nature, enjoying time with family, and bringing that just busyness and hustle and bustle of every day down so that I can hear the things I need to hear and be present in the moment this week. So that's what I am doing right now.
I'm just visualizing that right now, Dr. Quartano, and it sounds like it's a time of refreshing and just refocus and reset for you.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. I think I didn't even realize how much I needed that. So I'm so glad we're here and doing that this week.
And I think being in those quiet spaces, like you shared, it just really brings the awareness. And I know with you having a thriving practice, seeing people day in and day out, you're a mom, you're a wife, and so many other responsibilities, just having that space to steal away is so important to our overall care.
It really is. It really is. I've got a little guy who's 3. And so, if I'm not at work and running, I'm at home and running. And so being able to just relax and sit back and enjoy and be outside in nature where I feel most connected, grounded, and just the value of all the things that brings as well has been really nice.
Hmm. Indeed. And so, you wear many hats, Dr. Cortano, and just with your practice, you shared that there were some things that you saw that were not aligned in the manner in which you felt they should be. So you started your own practice.
Yeah.
And so what were some of the things that you saw that really kind of were the catalyst to help you to branch out and to launch out in a different direction?
Oh, yeah. I think medicine is wonderful. Let me start there, right? There are so many positive things that come out of it. But I think, unfortunately, in the day and age we live in, there's just so much that is restricted by insurance and practitioner schedules and not really being able to connect with the patient, hear what they're saying, truly hear it, not just listen to the complaint they present, but rather, hear what's going on in their lives, hear what the underlying causes of any challenges they're having are, see those things firsthand, and be able to actually do something about them and not be restricted by timelines or payer restrictions or things like that. And so that for me was the passion and the catalyst behind growing my own practice and has really come full circle as many practitioners have joined my team, seeing that same vision as we've continued to grow, and the families that really respect and appreciate that ability to meet them where they need us as well.
Mm. Yeah, and even as you just are sharing, those thoughts, Dr. Cortano, just even speaking from personal experiences, there have been times where I've gone in and, like you shared, there are some good sides to medicine, but
Mhm.
when it is hampered by the time restrictions, you've got to be seen in a certain amount of time. You're not really listened to. Um,
Right.
that impacts, your emotional health, let alone the physical things you're already going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I find so much of what families are saying actually falls in between, right? It's not the things they say out loud. It's the things you hear as you really truly take the time to listen to them. Or part of our practice for therapy is mobile. So we might be in the children's home. And so you get to see what that actually looks like when they say, oh, we sit down together. Maybe that's actually in front of the TV, right? Or they don't have a dining room table or whatever those things are. It just gives a much better visualization and an opportunity to intervene in a way that's meaningful. Like you said, not just for the physical health, but for the emotional health and the relationship building in that family as
Mhm. One of the things I just really love about the work that you're doing, Dr. Cortano, is the fact that you are working with the entire family system. Like you're working with the children, you're working with the family, as you shared, to maximize those relationships and improve, the quality of life. And so with you working like with the family system, what is a part of that that you really enjoy the most?
Oh, that's a great question. I think one of the things that I found through my own practice in working primarily with children was, and it's both parents, but primarily moms take on the brunt of particularly a child with extra needs, right? It's extra appointments, it's
Mm.
going out of your way to do things differently in the day to meet your child's needs. It's the exhaustion at the end of the day. And as a mom myself, I feel that, right? And I have a child who thankfully doesn't have any extra needs, but I see that for my families. And so I think the surprisingly beneficial part for me is being able to really read what's going on with mom and
Mhm.
be able to help her with her own processing, with her own needs, with finding time for herself so that she can continue to be the best mom, caregiver, wife, sister, daughter, whatever it is for everybody else. Because I think oftentimes moms put that last. And so that really has been such a passionate part of what I do and kind of what launched us into having the whole other side of our practice for moms, focusing on functional health and wellness too.
I think that's so good because I think, as you shared, as moms, wives, women, that there's so many different roles that we can get lost in that, but having that
Mhm.
really special, or as we say, like that sacred space where moms can go to really get their personal health needs met. And I love it even better because you focus on the functional medicine part of it. And so, for those that might be new to functional medicine, Dr. Quartano, can you share what functional medicine is and how you actually use that in your work?
Sure, yeah. So functional medicine, it really seeks to understand and get to the root cause of whatever is going on. And so I think very similar to how you practice, that takes into account not just the physical health, but the emotional health, the lifestyle needs, diet, exercise, sleep, stress, all of those factors, as well as the data from labs and things like that, to figure out how do we make that individual optimal. Oftentimes, we'll hear from clients, I went to the physician and things look normal, but I don't feel normal. And I think there's a big gap in what we do. And again, what medicine provides between normal and optimal. And so being able to take people from that place of, I don't feel like I'm thriving to I'm truly thriving and I feel great and I can fulfill my roles in other areas is so important to me.
Mhm. And again, as you share, just getting to the root cause of what's actually going on, and taking that holistic approach of what might actually be impacting, her health, and to bring her
Yeah,
to that healthy space.
sure. And then I think the other big part of what we do in functional medicine or in any sort of coaching is empowerment, right? For so many
Mhm.
times our clients have taken a back seat on their own health and let somebody else drive, whether that was through the medical system or the needs of their family or their work. And so just being able to say you are important and you need to create space for your own health, if for no other reason to be able to do all these other things you want to do.
Mhm. And I think too, just, as you are working with so many women and those who are even moms, you having that ability just to be able to connect with them on a more personal level. Is that what really motivated you to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. And then genuinely seeing people be successful. I what kind of springboarded me into this was my own personal journey, going through some really, really difficult and dark times in my own life and realizing the things I was struggling with as a 20 something year old were not normal and nobody really had a solution for me. It was very passed off, it's probably not that bad, it'll get better. And instead, being able to figure out these are things I can do to control how I feel and to improve my life, even if my circumstances aren't changing. And that to me was so important to be able to then translate that into other women or even children. I do work with children as well, but other families who are really struggling to go through those similar struggles in life.
Hmm. And something that you just shared, Dr. Quartano, that many individuals do face those same answers, that whether it's all in your head or it's not that bad. Can you provide some insight? Why do you think that is, Dr. Quartano? Like, that's the common thread theme that we're hearing
Yeah.
more and more.
Right. Gosh, I think there's so many reasons, right? And I think some of them again come back to well-intended clinicians who just are very short on time, and so they're just looking at what they can in front of them, right? The complaints you're making with the test results they have and saying, nope, everything's fine, you should be fine, rather than taking the time to dig in deeper. And a lot of times I think schedules just don't afford that. So I think that's one
Mm,
big piece of it. The other side of it is what we know is oftentimes labs don't tell the whole picture, right? They might be
mhm,
within normal range, meaning you don't have something like cancer or heart disease or something along those lines, but that doesn't mean that you're optimized in that you feel your best, you're moving your best, you've got your best energy levels to bring each day. So there's a big gap between what we consider normal and what we consider optimal. And I think the third piece of that is really just the lack of appreciation for the component of mental health and emotional health that goes into our physical health. And we know how closely intertwined those are, but the
mhm.
average clinician gets only a couple of hours of mental health related content in school. And so they don't have a full appreciation for how much that can impact physical health as well.
And that's so good. Just bringing those different perspectives in to try to really shed light on that, and just knowing that there is an alternative, in the work that you're doing to really help people to get to the root of what's going on and to really go beyond the surface and really just providing that holistic approach to
Absolutely.
the person.
I think it's so important. The other thing many women struggle with, and all of our families struggle with, is you have somebody who sees you for this. Cardiology does this, endocrinology does this, my primary does this, my women's health specialist does this. But they're all kind of working in silos, and very seldomly are all of those folks bringing all of that data together to look at how that might be impacting you as a person. And so I think
Mhm.
there's value in all of those spaces, but to be able to come to one place and say, yes, this makes sense, and you're not the only person that feels like that, and there is a way out of this, provides hope for so many people. And that is huge to me, to be able to give somebody hope and then follow through on being able to find a real solution to their struggles.
No, I think that's important too. Just bringing it all together to really work together as a team to see how that individual's health can really improve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with the work that you do, Dr. Cortano, I've heard you share so much about, the holistic approach, or um, addressing the mental health, the physical health, the emotional health. Can you share how faith and spirituality have also helped you in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I think for me, that was something that's grown a lot in the last 10 years, just in my own personal life, in the sense that I grew up Christian and it was just something I always accepted was part of me. But going through my own struggles made me dig in deep and say, okay, but why do I feel this way? And how do I lean on this? And how does that help me? And so I think being able to go through that reflective practice for myself and appreciate that, you know, being a Christian and having faith in God and knowing that there's somebody out there who has cares for me. No matter what
Mhm.
happens, I'm going to be right where I'm supposed to be because there's a plan in place, was huge for my own peace of mind, and still is. When business gets
Mhm.
busy or life gets stressful, I can step back and say, what's the point in worrying about this? I know it's taken care of. And even if it's hard right now, no matter the outcome, there's a plan and it's going to be okay. And so I think translating that to my clients, certainly for me, Christianity plays a big part in that, and my faith and being spiritual. But I feel like, even for clients who don't share that, to be
Yeah.
able to have some sort of peace and finding that inner reasoning for being there and having that faith in what's to come is huge.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's so, so good because you're right. There are just some times where we get into those hard spaces and those hard places, and we need, you know, God who is stronger and bigger than anything that we could ever face to really bring that peace and that comfort in the work that we do and the struggles that we face, and even in meeting with the people that we encounter on a daily basis.
Yep, absolutely. He promises to take care of us, and we know that he has a plan for us. So being able to take that and move forward in each day confident that I'm following the plan that I'm supposed to and doing the things that I'm doing through him are so critical.
Mm-hmm. And it just made me think of like when you said that, like Jeremiah 29:11, where it talks about God knowing the plans that He has for us, that plans that are good,
Mm-hmm.
prosper us, that will do us well all the days of our lives. And so even thinking about the work that you're doing now, Dr. Quartano, did you ever see yourself in this type of plan or following this type of work, or was this anywhere on your radar?
It's so funny that you say that because it certainly wasn't, right? When I went to school, I trusted that the medical system was it, right? And I'm so thankful for my background, so I don't want to be misguided there. And
Sure.
where I came from and all the experience I have both in my profession but also in my personal life have led me right to where I am today. And so I remember a few years ago when I said, okay, I'm going to take this step out and I'm going to go through this certification process and really dive into functional medicine because it's my passion. And I prayed about it, talked to my husband about it, took the step,
Mhm.
committed to it, and literally 10 days later found out I was pregnant with my son. And I was like, okay, God, you're funny. Like I've got a lot of
Wow.
time and intensity ahead of me, but here we go. And I'm just so grateful. Even in these hard few years we've had, I think that's the other thing that, my faith brings for me is that confidence that I'm right where I need to be. Okay, I'm in this intensive program and now I'm pregnant and then I had a baby in the midst of a pandemic, and okay, that
Mhm.
just gives me more time to study and more time to focus and more time to spend with him, which I wouldn't have had luxury of if we were in a different time frame. So I think,
Mhm.
that all of that faith piece allows me to look for the positive and the silver lining and keep going, knowing that I'm where I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be too, which is so critical.
Mhm. Yeah, and so many times when it doesn't even look the way we think that it should,
Yeah.
but God always aligns it in some way, and it
Uh-huh.
always, like, works out.
It does. It absolutely does.
Mhm. And so with you, following this plan that God has for you with reaching so many women, individuals, what aspects of your work do you feel like you enjoy the most?
Hmm. I would say hands down, the thing that keeps me going every day is when I hear from families, from clients about the progress they've made, about how their quality of life is better, about how they're finally getting answers, about how they feel
Mm,
hopeful for the first time in years. I know that that's right where I'm supposed to be, that I have a gift of being able to help people and help them on a deeper level than just the communication of what they're saying right in front of me. I think that translates over to my team as well. I've got a great team, and I'm really passionate about making sure that they care for themselves because I see too many healthcare workers who
mm,
wear themselves out taking care of
yeah.
everybody else.
That's so, so good. And just, there's nothing like I like to call those success stories, those testimonies that you hear. And it just lets you know that you're on the right track, you're on the right path of doing the work that you've been called to do. But I also love the fact too that you are keeping your team, involved in that too and ensuring that they're being taken care of as well.
Yeah, so important, right? We have a whole population of folks who work in healthcare who haven't taken care of themselves for so long, particularly in these last few years. And I
Mhm.
actually have a large volume of clients right now, unfortunately, but fortunately that I can reach them, right? That are former friends and colleagues and healthcare workers who have come to me and said, I don't know what's wrong and nobody else can fix this.
Mm.
How can you help me? And a lot of it comes back to that whole ability to take care of yourself so you can pour into others.
No, that's so, so good. And so, for someone that might be listening, Dr. Quartano, and they're thinking, I'd like to really look at getting some functional medicine care um, from someone such as yourself, like where can they find you out there on the internet, and what city are you actually located in?
Sure, yeah. So our practice is in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, but we do see clients virtually for functional wellness programs, so that doesn't have to be a barrier. Our website is www.alltogetherwellness.net, and we're on Instagram and Facebook, Altogether Wellness, and we actually have two channels, Well Kids and Well Women. So those are great places to follow us if you want to learn a little bit more about us. The website's a great place to go if you want to find out more about our services, book a time to chat with us about what we could offer.
Wonderful. And are there any final words that you would like to share, Dr. Cortano?
I think one thing that we as women tend to do is put ourselves last and say, we'll take care of that next week, next week, next week, until it gets to the point that it's unbearable, right? And I just want to encourage women out there to put yourself first. We tend to not do that, and you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so filling your own cup and making sure that your health is one of those pieces, both physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, all of it needs to be right in order for you to keep pouring from that cup into other people. So if you're looking for ways to better do that, that's a place where we'd love to help you. Finding a coach or a practitioner that can do that is critical.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Cortano, it has truly been my pleasure to host you on the Rock Your World Naturally show today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and I just pray God's blessings upon your work in reaching so many women, so many families in the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, Dr. Cortano.
You as well.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I pray that it blessed and challenged you to move towards living the abundant life that God has for you. If so, would you stop right now to share this episode with someone who's been praying to improve their health spiritually, physically, or emotionally? I would love it if you could take 30 seconds to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the only way that I know that you're liking the show. Also, it rocks my world to hear from you. Lastly, come on over to my free community, RekishiaMcMillanCommunity.com, to grab your free gifts. I have everything you need to know about working with me, taking my courses, or connecting. Also, head over to RekishiaMcMillan.com to explore my health products and sign up for free complimentary health coaching. My prayer for you will always be 3 John 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. I'll see you in a few days. God bless.